Good afternoon. Rhonda Pierce here from SCHMETZ Needles, North America. Welcome to the conference room. This is the last session of my May-June swim series, for See What I Made. And we'll let people gather and join us. And I'm happy to be here. I'm from the Chicago area. It's a beautiful day again, although there are clouds starting to move in, which is a good thing. If you follow my blog at all over at sewmorestitches.com, you may know that I recently planted lots of flowers and actually gardens. So I do need this rain, and hoping it rains this afternoon so I don't have to water tonight. Let's see here. Okay, we're live. Patty is here from Fort Wayne. Yay, thanks for joining, Patty. I know that you show up every week, and I really do appreciate that. So let's see who else shows up. So over the past 7 or 8 weeks, Sharon is here from Cincinnati. Yay! If you're just showing up, say hi. Let us know where you're from. We love to see. Wow, we've had people from all over the world. From Europe, Australia, of course, the United States, Canada, Puerto Rico, etc. So people around the world love to sew. Now, last week, if you were with me, and I know a couple of you were, I was wearing a seafoam green t-shirt, lace t-shirt, just like the one I'm wearing today, except that this is white. So I had bought 3 of the little t-shirts from Sam's Club. I didn't wear them for 2 years because the neckline was too high and I just didn't feel comfortable. So this is t-shirt number 2, where I actually trimmed out the neckline, and I thought, oh, well, because you sew, you might appreciate this t-shirt. So that was a little $6 t-shirt that I've already gotten $6 worth of wear out of it. So sometimes when you sew, you don't always have to start from scratch. Take what you have, recycle, are certainly great options right now. Okay, Marion says that she's from Glen Ellen, Illinois, and that Block Magazine had illustration of different types of needles and what they're used for. Well, okay, Marion, I'm not familiar with that publication, but I'll have to look it up. We've got Cindy from Montana, Patricia from Florida, Jean also from Glen Ellen, Illinois, Clovis from Indiana, Nancy from Arizona, Cindy from Iowa, Annette from Washington State, Clovis. Oh, goody. Thanks, everybody, for showing up here today. So, like I mentioned, this is the last session of my May-June series, See What I Made. I started off the series with my 1-inch Thangles Christmas salad quilt. Did you see that? That was a lot of fun, finally finishing that project. I probably never need to make another 1-inch block, but I have to tell you, that Thangles project was so fun and easy to do. It just took some time and focus. And when I go into galleries, quilt galleries, and I go to different quilt shows, I have to tell you that for some reason, postage stamp blocks in quilts draw my attention, along with 1 and 2-inch little pieces. So I don't know, it's a natural focus. During the second week, I showed you my husband's memorial hearts. Yes, he died in November, and he loved his Oxford cotton shirts, and so I made memorial hearts about 6 inches tall and 6 inches wide, and framed them for his children and family. So that was a fun project. I also made the boho kimono. Remember that one? That was a simplicity pattern that I had altered a couple ways. And quite frankly, that was a knit fabric. And I was a little suspicious about putting it together and actually wearing it. And you know what? I've worn it several times already. It's just so soft and comfortable and gives me a really nice polished look. I've even worn it here in the office. So, oh, and the guys did notice. They complimented me on my boho kimono. Okay, the next week, I mentioned that my husband loved to wear sweaters. He had oh boy, dozens of crew neck cotton sweaters, cotton crew neck sweaters, and so I made a sweater jacket out of 4 of those. Next, I moved on to a navy and white striped dress using a pattern from Christine Janssen out of Michigan. Last week, I showed you my Marcy Tilton dresses out of 2 different fabrications. One was the midnight blue velvet, ooh, so luxurious and soft. And the other was the garden floral dress using fabric that my friend Deanna over at Nancy Zeman Productions gifted me. What a wonderful surprise. I had no idea. And I was so pleased to make that dress up within 2 weeks. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 different weeks. Today is week 7, and I'm excited with my project. And Paul, you want to come on in? Paul's going to help me. You know, Paul will be drawing the name once again for our giveaway. And my friends at Shannon Fabrics have been so generous with all the wonderful cuts of fabrics, cuddle fabrics that they've given. So I'll be giving this away along with some SCHMETZ needles, 4 packs of SCHMETZ needles, and the Grab It Bobbin Saver. So Paul will be randomly selecting a name later after I give you the question of how to win. So today I'm showing you a project that I started 17 years ago. Yes, I was working in downtown Chicago or near downtown Chicago for Quilters Resource, which was a niche wholesaler of fine sewing notions and supplies. And I bought these wonderful 14-inch blocks, sashiko blocks, and finally put them all together. So let me just stand up and move my chair out of the way. Paul will be saying hello. Paul, move to the right a little bit. See.
Hello.
Oh, to your left. Sorry. So it's hard to get this all on the screen, but there's 6 different patterns here and 8 panels of each pattern. So I've put like panels in a row, so I have a continuous row of designs. And I'll show you some close-ups on this, but I wanted you to get a sense of how big this is. Here's a close-up of the some of the bottom panels. This quilt actually measures 104 inches wide and 78 inches tall. Okay, Paul. You can say hello to everybody.
I did say hello.
Well, they want to see your face.
Hi.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. So Paul and I we share an office wall, so we give each other a hard time, and well, we work quite closely together too. So sashiko, that's spelled S-A-S-H-I-K-O. It's a Japanese technique that goes back centuries. It was actually a utility way of extending the life of garments, where layers of fabric, as fabric wore out, then layers of fabric were added and then stitched together so that the garment could last many more years and add warmth to the garment. Now these panels, and I'll also just tell you that you can get a better picture. It was really hard taking pictures of this big quilt, but if you go to my personal website, sewmorestitches.com, you can go over to the blog. Yesterday I provided the 3 links to close-up pictures to this actual quilt so you can have a better idea of the stitch designs and patterns and the supplies that were used to make it. So sewmorestitches.com. What I purchased, and I know that Clover products, I'm sure you know Clover Notions. You see them in a lot of the quilt shops and sewing stores. Clover Notions still has these panels available. So it comes in a package something like this, although I don't have any of the original packaging, but it's about probably 8 inches tall and about maybe 4 or 5 inches wide. And you'll see the navy, the indigo fabric shining through. And the kits that I bought also included the sashiko thread and the needles. Now, the thread is very special. It's a very heavyweight thread. It comes in these skeins. And this one I've had in the drawer for a while, so it's a little bit messed up, but you can see it's a nice heavier weight, probably equal to about a 25 weight thread for hand embroidery. You can also buy the individual packages of sashiko thread. The colors that I've seen are generally, well, white is the traditional color, but I've also seen red, turquoise, and a couple other colors. The kits that I bought also included the needles. And the needles come in these cute little packages, these little paper packages. I don't know, I don't read Japanese, so I don't know if I have this upside down or not. So you unwrap these packages, and let me do this. Inside, just like a stick of gum, you find this little tin foil in here. What's inside the tin foil? Well, inside the tin foil, and I have a pack here that's well used, you find your sashiko needles. This is a very long and thick needle to handle that extra heavy sashiko thread. There are 2 needles that actually come in the package, and here you can see, kind of see how big they are. But to put it in perspective, I took my everyday hand sewing needle. This would be a needle that I use when I'm putting binding on quilts. So you can see that the sashiko needles are quite a bit longer and thicker. So besides sashiko, one of the things I use the sashiko needle for is when I finish serging projects and I want to bury the serger threads back into the seam. The eyes on the sashiko needle is extra big. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's so much easier to bury those serger threads with the sashiko needle rather than a traditional needle that I would use for quilting or other hand sewing. The other special tool for sashiko, if you use a thimble, they have a special thimble, and this thimble actually came with the kit. It is leather, and it slips over the middle finger. Now, I think there's a variety of ways that you can wear this. You could wear it here at the base of your middle finger, or you can wear it also further up, maybe right above the knuckle of your middle finger. And you might be wondering, well, why? Well, when you're doing sashiko, you're doing basically a running stitch. The stitches are long. It's not a basting stitch, but it's a long running stitch. And so you will be pushing the needle through, and this leather makes it much, much easier on your skin to push the thread through. I don't personally like thimbles, and I did not use a thimble for this project. I got along just fine, but it's different, it's unique, and it's part of the tradition of sashiko. So I just wanted to show that to you. The panels that I purchased 48 panels. It's 6 different patterns. And the indigo fabric was already stamped with stitching lines. So that made precision hand stitching really super easy. One of the things about sashiko is, and I'll try to illustrate this. Let me see, let me move my hand, is that you're stitching with a continuous line. So this diagonal line, you're going to stitch one whole line, continuous line. So instead of like outlining this star, it's a continuous line. And it's hard for me to show that with the mirror image with the camera. My first foray into sashiko was this cute little kit, similar to what I just showed you. It came in a package like this, and it included the thread and the leather thimble. So this was a very simple project to start and finish, and that's what got me hooked on sashiko. One extra step I did on this little bag was I bought traditional, actually I think I bought fat quarters of kimono fabric, and so I lined this little bag. I use this as a little travel sewing kit when I'm on the road. And wow, if you look close, you can see I even put my straight pins. I store those on the side of this little bag. So, during the pandemic, and we're still in it, officially, Illinois moves into stage 4 tomorrow. So during the pandemic, while I finished up some major projects that you've seen over the last few weeks, and I also did a lot of purging that I sent on to friends especially friends that teach kids to sew. So one of the books that I stumbled upon is Sashiko, Traditional Japanese Quilt Designs. And I've had these blocks done, these 48 blocks done, probably for 15 years. 15 years. They've been they've been in my stash, complete. My mom made, I think, 12 of the blocks. She was really good with sewing and hand embroidery, Brazilian embroidery, etc. So she helped me with 12 of the blocks, and then I did the rest. But one of the reasons why I had a hard time finishing this quilt, finishing as in meaning actually putting all of these blocks together, was what was I going to do for backing? I didn't know how to finish the back of this quilt. I have over the years probably on average attend 20 different sewing and quilting shows throughout the year, and then multiple guild and quilt shop events, etc. So I was always on the lookout for traditional sashiko fabric for backing, especially a solid to match this indigo. But I could never find anything that was just right. What I found, of course, was the traditional Japanese fabric, which was fine. It was narrow. I don't remember how the width of the Japanese fabric, but it was narrow, and yeah, it was very expensive. It was more expensive than I wanted to pay. And so in April, I stumbled upon this book in my stash, and oh my goodness, I found what released me, that released me to finish this quilt, to actually put it together and actually finish it. And I stumbled upon a line that said, oh, I don't need to put a backing on. Imagine that, a quilt without a backing. That clicked in my mind, it clicked in my brain, and like the very next day I had to finish this project because I will not be using this quilt on a bed, most likely, or on the sofa. When I finished this project, I had it hanging in my quilt room within an hour. So I didn't have to put a traditional back on it. But I want to show you the back of it. I'll just show you what it looks like. I mean, I'm very proud of the handwork that I've got. The loose ends either are buried into the stitching, or there are some knots that are used also. So it turned out really quite lovely. The panel actually is 2 layers of fabric, so this whole quilt really has a nice body to it. Because the panels were pre-stamped, I was able to, of course, follow the designs. And I remember from my Quilters Resource days, working with some Japanese quilters and designers, that they would say, when you do sashiko, you want your stitches to look like a single grain of rice sitting on top of the fabric. So that's what I've tried to do. When you do sashiko, no stitches are to touch or cross each other. And again, the stitch is to be pulled so it looks like a single grain of rice sitting on top of your fabric. So, wow, that is quite different from, oh my goodness, I see Isabel is here from France. Wonderful. Isabel and I met, well, I guess it was it was in February. We met in Las Vegas, the last wholesale event of this year. And Isabel and her husband carry SCHMETZ crone needles in France. So welcome. So, anyway, I'm so thrilled to show you this project. And the other thing I wanted to show you about this book, this was a Quilters Resource publication. The first edition was published in 2000. So I'm happy that I was able to hang on to this book and find it. You know how that could be. But it shows all the different types of patterns that you can make and the steps to make. Let me see. Here's a variety of different patterns that you can make if you draw your own sashiko. Now, I did go through and identify. If you go again to sewmorestitches.com, I think it's the very last post that I did actually identifies the different patterns that I used, that I stitched. So let me just see. The different patterns are, here, I've got these in order, I think. Well, they fell out of order. Let me get, all right, so let's start from the top. This first pattern here is referred to as flax, kind of a geometric shape or star shape, but it's referred to as flax. The second row of designs is called connected crisscross. Isn't that cool how the designs just all connect? It's a play on your eyes. The third design, and this was my favorite because I love these curved lines. This is called Pappas grass. And if I remember correctly, when I stitched this, so I would start in this corner, and I'll try to do this backward, did the upper sphere, and then I would come across and do this middle line, and then I would have a jump stitch to finish this bottom line. Then I would move over and start this next design. So it's continuous, a continuous design line. The next pattern is called Diamond. I thought this one was a lot of, well, I enjoyed them all. This one here is called Key. I think I saw a reference to it also as a maze or key maze. That was a lot of fun. Again, let your eye just play with that design. And then right here, the final design is called cloisonne. So lots of circles creating that design. So again, it feels good and it looks great in my sewing room. If you're interested, again, you can go to the post that I did last night, Sew More Stitches, and I've got the 3 different links to the April post, and it shows the quilt actually hanging in my sewing room. So when I'm sitting at my serger or my sewing machine, I'm actually looking at my sashiko quilt, and I just love, 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 love it. Okay, so what else can I tell you about the sashiko quilt? Continuous design rows. Oh, right. So one of the things I had to decide when putting all these blocks together was I going to do a scattering the designs, randomly placed. The other choice was doing the continuous design rows. So I really liked the continuous design rows. I thought that helped maintain the integrity of the continuous stitch lines. So how did I finish it? Okay, so the panels all had the stitch lines. Oh, and I will also say, because there were 2, when I was hand stitching, there were 2 layers of fabric. So I actually hand basted the sides of the fabric together so that they wouldn't slide when I was hand sewing. Then the actual individual blocks were put together with the sewing machine. I just used a universal size 80 needle for this project. And then to finish it off, I actually used a serger. And actually, if you look right here, you can actually see these lines here, the white lines. That's actually my basting of the panels. And then I did machine stitching, and then I did the serge. So then the question was, well, after I serged all of this together, how am I going to finish the perimeter? Am I going to put a border on this quilt? And then I just decided, you know what? I don't need a border. I love the design. I think finishing it with a border will actually blunt the points. So what I did was I just used my serger, and I just serged the raw edge around the entire perimeter of the quilt, and it looks fantastic. It's not normally how I would finish a quilt, but then this is not a normal quilt. So I love it, and when it's hanging on the wall, you know, who's going to notice the serged edges? So I am very pleased to show you this special quilt, and if you have UFOs, don't give up on them. I guess I was just waiting for the right time and the right words to finish that project. So the question today is, I know many of you are asking, how can I win this all these goodies. So you know that Shannon Fabrics is one of my all-time favorite fabric lines. I love the people too. I've made a lot of garments, vests, and quilts out of the Shannon Fabrics. So, and when you're working with those fabrics, what needle are you going to use? Well, you're going to use the stretch needle. Yellow for stretch, and this is a size 90. That's what the blue means. Stretch size 90, and this is the SCHMETZ chrome, and using the proper needle type and size makes a world of difference in the ease of your project. Also, so the winner will receive the Shannon Fabrics along with these stretch needles. They'll receive our new costume pack. Oh, actually, it comes in two different versions. The 9 needle and the 10 needle, and a variety of needles and needle sizes. And then our wonderful super non-stick needle. This is a size 70. So if you do machine embroidery, machine applique, maybe you sew on vinyl, oilcloth, splash fabric, anytime you're working with sticky adhesives, spray adhesives, fusibles, or hook and loop tape, these are the needles that you want to use because that'll make your job so much easier. The winner will also receive our little famous luggage tag with the color chart, which is just behind me too. You know that the top band of color identifies your needle type and the lower band identifies your needle size. So a little luggage tag to the winner, along with the ever-famous SCHMETZ ABC Pocket Guide. And then we want you to share our other little brochures with your kids or young people, and also information for your guild friends. And then finally, the winner gets the Grab It Bobbin Saver Square. We know that people love the original Grab It Bobbin Saver, the round one that looks like the donut. So we listen to you. We know you've got a lot more bobbins than just 20-some bobbins that fit into the round donut-shaped bobbin saver. So we have this bobbin saver square that'll hold up to 66 bobbins, metal or plastic. So the question is how to win this. I want to know what you're sewing right now. Are you quilting? Tell me what you're quilting on. If you're working on a garment, if you're doing fashion sewing, maybe it's for you or a grandchild or your next door neighbor, tell me what you're sewing. Maybe you're doing home dec. Maybe you're new to sewing and you're making curtains, or maybe you're more advanced in refinishing a chair, reupholstering a chair. Or maybe you like doing stuffed animals. You know, Friday I posted on Facebook a little horseshoe. What was the name of that? They were little stuffed horses using Shannon fabric. So you'll want to check out that pattern. So Paul, you heard the question that people have to answer. What kind of sewing are they doing? Are they doing quilting? What are they quilting? What kind of garments are they making? Are they doing home dec or sewing stuffed animals or some other kind of craft? So Paul will be going through all of your replies, so he'll randomly select a winner. And as he's doing that, let me go through and just see if there's any questions. Where is Shannon Fabrics? Shannon Fabrics, I know their offices are located in California. I think that was Sharon that just asked that question. But Shannon Fabrics you can find around the world in quilt shops and sewing stores, machine dealers. Their website is shannonfabrics.com. Let me see if I've got that handy. Well, here's you can see the spelling, shannonfabrics, all one word, .com. Okay, let's see. There's some answers coming in here. King size cross stitch quilt that Nita's making. Laura's making a 4th of July outfits for her grandkids. Dorothy's making, Dorothea is making a silhouette jacket. Becky's making pillowcase dresses. Patricia's doing custom cover for a sofa. Oh my goodness, that is ambitious. I've covered some chair seats, but that was really quite simple. I've never done anything quite so difficult. I'm sewing a Turning 20 quilt in batiks. That's Jareen. Terry's doing zippered pouches and quilts. Gail is doing alterations for a friend's wedding and a dress for a granddaughter. Mug rugs and pin cushions. Mary Ann's making mug rugs and pin cushions for her American Sewing Guild friends. Nancy's just finishing the binding on a baby quilt, and she's on to pot holders for a boutique. So I'm guessing, Nancy, that you actually sell those. Fantastic. Margaret in Florida, she's making a clamshell bag from By Annie, and don't we love By Annie patterns? Pat is sewing masks for her local hospital. She's using a Microtex needle, which is working wonderfully, she says. It goes right through all those pleated layers. Fantastic. Oh my gosh. I just said her name, Paul. Paul. Well, Pat Gottschalk, you're our winner. Isn't that funny? Paul's in his office and randomly selected a name. So, Pat, I'll send you a message shortly, and you can send me your shipping address. Ronnie's making a scrappy quilt. So we've got a great mix of fashion sewing for others especially, and quilting. So let me see if there's any. Dorothy's doing some new knit tops. The old ones just needed to be tossed. Yeah, I can relate to that. Plus our bodies change too, right? So you want to freshen up your wardrobe. So, all right, what else do I have to tell you? Well, go to sewmorestitches.com and you can see pictures, stationary pictures, close-ups of the Sashiko quilt, so that'll be easier for you to see and read, and plus maybe I have some additional information there for you too. Take a look at that. I want to thank each of you for showing up here. You know what? I love to sew. I love to quilt. I love to meet all the people around the world that sew and quilt. And we're a great group of people. And I want to say keep on sewing, keep on using SCHMETZ needles. I will not be here next week, but I will be doing more Facebook Lives probably with a new format. And so stay tuned. I'll be making announcements. Keep on sewing, and I want to say thank you for using SCHMETZ and Sew SCHMETZ. So till next time, continue to follow us on SCHMETZ Needles Facebook and continue sewing. And remember, change your needle. Bye-bye.